I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. I call this meeting to order here tonight on September 26th, special call city council meeting. As for invocation on Ward 8.
Okay, thank you. So we're going to start with a quote. True knowledge is a virtue of the talented, but harmful to those without discernment. Spring water free of impurity entering the ocean becomes undrinkable. Let us pray. Father God in heaven, we know that you rule in all matters of the human realm. We would be remiss if we allowed ourselves to rely on human thoughts and reasoning alone. In the days ahead, we ask for wisdom, which only comes from above, and then we ask that you give us God-inspired discernment to be able to distinguish between that which is drinkable and that which is undrinkable. We ask this in your most holy name, and all of God's children said,
Amen. We'll get everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All righty. I'll call on Ms. Brittany to call the roll.
Councilmember Francis,
Here.
Councilmember Smiley,
Here.
Councilmember Marsh,
Here.
Councilmember Crabtree,
Here.
Councilmember Craig,
Here.
Councilmember Martin,
Here.
Councilmember Wilcox,
Here.
Councilmember Meek,
here,
Councilmember Lomberger,
Here.
Councilmember Keel,
Here.
Councilmember Bell,
Here.
Councilmember Handy.
Present.
And everyone is here and we have a quorum.
All righty. No awards and recognition, so we'll skip right off from item 5. Item 6, public comment. If anyone in the audience would like to come speak at the podium.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Stephanie Boland. I'm the Commonwealth Attorney here for Christian County. I thought it became apparent and necessary for me to come down and address the council on a few matters so that you can have an understanding of what's going on in our community. And to tackle some of the rumors and allegations that are swirling around about me in my office. So when I took office on March the 1st, I wanted the office to have a clean slate, which meant hiring all new staff. And that is exactly what I did. So for the first 6 weeks of me being in office, I was the only prosecutor handling all felony cases here in Christian County. To be specific, during that 6-week time period, I handled 745 cases by myself. Yet the rumors are swirling that I don't know what I'm doing. I'm getting people to come in to try cases because I don't know how to try cases. And that is a false narrative, and it's disruptive to our criminal justice system and to our community. I then actually brought a victim's advocate on board. Now, let me explain a little bit about the special prosecutor's role. And I know my time is limited, but the first thing that I did was I had to look through all cases when there were actually case files there to see if there were any conflicts of interest. Because if there's a conflict of interest, I cannot prosecute the case. And that is the role of a special prosecutor, not you ask for a special prosecutor because you don't want to try cases. So to be clear, I cannot represent someone as a criminal defense attorney and then turn around and prosecute them. Let me say that again. I cannot represent someone as their criminal defense attorney and then turn around and prosecute them. That is behavior of the past, and that has been happening before. So I guess trying to be transparent and bring light to our situation and be ethical has sometimes or somehow been twisted in our community to make it think that I don't know what I'm doing or why are things being done that way. I would also like to say this. Breaking news from the courthouse should not be about deadlines or about misinformation about what a special prosecutor's role is. And that, if that is what the breaking news from our courthouse is saying, we have a really big problem and we have a really big issue to be really concerned about. Because if breaking news from the courthouse is false and misleading, what else is going on that's being falsely misled. I will give you an example about today. We were able to bring justice to a family today. We had a murder trial. The murder took place last year, not 5 years ago. It took place last year. And the jury rendered a verdict of guilty for murder and sentencing. While I am in my closing arguments, 88 new cases got added onto the docket for tomorrow. So explain to me how we're supposed to notify victims when 88 new cases have been added on to tomorrow's docket that starts at 8:30 in the morning. And I'm fresh out of a jury trial less than 2 hours ago. And by the way, that brings the total number of cases for tomorrow to 180 cases. My office has 180 cases docketed tomorrow, beginning at 8:30. Regardless of what your political affiliation is, or regardless of how you may feel about me or my office,
We gotta stop her.
the attempts
How much
to make
longer,
us
Ms. Bowler?
uncomfortable, just 20 seconds, sir.
Okay.
The attempts that are being made, it's not hurting me. It's hurting our community. And I thought it would be best that I brought that to your attention directly. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak in public comment? No others want to speak in public comment. All right, we're moving right along to item 7. Mayor's comments. We had a good week at the KLC meeting in Lexington. We had a lot of committee things we went to and other meetings and had a good time and learned a lot. And then we come back for a chili cook-off and had a really good time with it. Ate a lot of chili, had a lot of fun. The UHA got the grand prize. The Board of Realtors got the Mayor Award. And the Fire Department got a couple of awards, so we're proud of that. Police Department, you're going to catch up.
It definitely brought the heat.
Oh, they did bring the heat. All right. We're moving on out of mayor's comments. Thank you for everyone for doing what they did right there. I will move on into reports of officers and committees. And we'll bring up Mr. Tom Britton. He's got some things to talk about and we'll move forward on that.
Mayor and council, I'll be very brief in comments. As I report to you almost monthly now, our commission is working through the original zoning of property that's been annexed into the city that currently is unzoned. Tonight, we're bringing to you 3 recommendations. This is for property immediately west of Food Line, immediately west of Peachtree Place subdivision. This is just south of Canton, Pike. The first that you have as item A is zoning to R2. This is a 22-acre tract, primarily agricultural. The second, which is just to the south of that, is an R2 zoning recommendation, which is approximately 15 acres. And the third is Wilshire Circle, which is a duplex development. The recommendation is R3. The commission held public hearings on this on August 28th, and by unanimous recommendation is bringing this to you, finding in an agreement with the comprehensive plan. And if any members have any questions, be happy to answer them. And can you see the screen, Mayor?
Oh, we got him. He just got it back up here, so we're good.
Okay. All right, sir. And that's items A, B, and C on your agenda.
Thank you, sir.
I'll make a motion, we send that to the clerk to
All right, we have a
put into
motion.
an ordinance.
Second.
I've got a second by Doug. All righty. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, we'll move right along. Move on into approval of minutes on item 9.
Financial.
Oh, no, we got financial. Melissa, hold on. Cut you off first.
That'll be a bad month, you trying to skip it?
Well, we just didn't want to talk about it yet. He didn't say it was too bad.
All right, so it's my pleasure to bring to you guys the monthly financial report for August. In August, we did have 2 interfund transfers. We gave $2,000 to the Chamber of Commerce for the Eye Opener Breakfast, and we gave $1,000 to Men to Be for a gala sponsorship. That brings total year-to-date interfund transfers to $14,324, leaving a remaining balance in the interfund of $85,676. So for payroll tax for the month of August, we had budgeted $3,384,000, and we have collected $3,436,293, which is bringing us in right above budgeted amount. I think it's $52,000 over what I budgeted for 2 months. So we have increase in equivalent payroll of 5.6%. So we are meeting the budgeted amount for payroll through August. Our insurance premium tax to date, collections for August were $1,410,000. And last year they were $1,387,000. So we're running a little bit ahead on our insurance premium tax for the year. And then on business licenses, we're also running ahead. We're currently at 12.8% of budget through 2 months. And last year we were only at 8.7% of the budget. Our general fund account balances, we had prior year encumbrances of $256,251. We have collected $7,593,853, and our actual expenses are $8,208,223, giving us a negative revenue over expenses of $358,119. And our current month encumbrances of $146 leaves a negative revenue over expenses of $504,573. This is normal for the first part of the year. We usually do run negative revenue over expenses through until we get October's property taxes start coming in, and then we go to the positive. So right now we are running more expenses than we have revenue currently. For our municipal road aid, we had prior year encumbrances of $353,291. We've collected $126,839. We've spent $391,649, leaving a positive revenue over expenses in our MRA fund of $88,481. We do have a small amount of our encumbrances left at $27,763, giving us a positive revenue over expenses in our MRA fund of $60,718. Our capital fund, we had prior year encumbrances of $409,976. We've collected $12,108. We transfer from the general fund to the capital fund quarterly, so that first transfer will happen in September. Our actual expenses here to date are $360,401, giving us positive revenue over expenses of $61,683. Although we do have encumbrances right now of $414,864, and if we had to pay all those, we would have a negative amount in our capital account of $353,181. For our department expenses, we're running a little bit over budget for most of our departments right now. A lot of that has to do with the way that the payrolls have fallen and things like that. But our administration department right now is at 17.2%, taxes at 18.9%, information technologies at 32.0%, and legislative is at 13.5%. Police department is at 16.1%. Our ECC is at 19.3%. Our fire department is at 15.5%, and our EMS is at 18.1%. Public Works Admin is at 10.9%. City Maintenance is at 16.1%. Fort Campbell's at 15.1%. Service Center was at 14.8%. Parks and Rec is at 27.5%. The Sportsplex is at 13.7%. And the Aquatic Center is at 71.9% of expenses already spent this year. Giving us our general fund expenses are currently 17.2%. Our municipal road aids are at 37.8%, and our capital fund is at 14.4% of the amount allocated has been spent to date. Which brings us to our general fund cash balance. We had cash balance as of June 30th of $15,158,964. We have year-to-date receipts of $7,593,853. We have year-to-date expenses of $8,208,223, leaving our cash balance at August 31st at $14,544,594. We do have those encumbrances of $146,454, giving us our available cash at $14,398,140. So the $14,398,140 minus our reserve accounts, our capital equipment replacement reserve, our body reserve, and our future pension obligations leaves our unassigned cash balance at $10,653,576, which is giving us our percentage of unassigned to our adjusted operating budget of 26.9%. And I will be happy to answer any questions you guys might have about the August financial report.
Ms. Natasha?
Thank you, Mayor. Turn my mic on. Thank you. On your report, I noticed that starting on page 49, you didn't put in here where we showing last year's difference, like what we comparing to it.
Okay.
Are we gonna start, or are we not gonna put it in there anymore? Where you showed last year, prior to, last year we came to this and that.
I need to look at I don't know what page that is. So I didn't bring my
It was
packet up
it
here.
was a comparison in our,
Is it the revenue comparisons?
yeah, well, it's as the budget, as you do the budget, it showed different,
Can I come just look at what you're looking at?
okay. On our budget, we usually have like last year where we came from and where we was doing, like prior to it split in two. Last year we was here and here and there. Are we not gonna do that?
I don't think on this slide we've shown that before.
Okay.
We usually show it on the revenue slide, like what the revenue was last year and what
I
the
thought you
revenue
did
is.
it quarterly.
No, we usually don't show that, not on that slide.
Okay,
But I can look back and make sure what Robert used to do.
okay,
But I don't remember showing that before.
okay. I just wanted to see what we did last year this time.
Okay.
You can just send that if you do have it, what we did last year.
Okay,
I don't know if anyone else wants it, but I would like to see it.
okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Any other questions for Ms. Clayton?
Council members, NIT, you will see that he's at 33%. We pay subscriptions across the board for every department upfront. So in certain areas, we spend a lot, then it levels back out over a few months. That's really all that is.
Thank you.
All right. Right. That's, all right, we got that. Moving right along to approval of minutes this time now. We get to move into that.
So moved.
Second.
Steve and Miss Jamie. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty, moving right along. Turn the page here. Number 10, ordinances. Ordinance A, 30-2023, Pyle Lane. Zone.
Amending the zoning maps of the city of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, approximately 14.38 acres located on Pyle Lane. Whereas Community and Development Services initiated a zoning map amendment by Resolution 2023-04 to assign the original zoning designation of R2 Single Family Residential District to property located on Pyle Lane. And whereas Community and Development Services made favorable recommendation at their July 31st, 2023 meeting for City Council to approve original zoning application R23-7-1. And whereas City Council concurs, said recommendation is in agreement with the Hopkinsville Christian County Comprehensive Plan, and significant physical, social, and economic changes have occurred warranting the zoning of the properties. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, pursuant to KRS 100.211, Hopkinsville Code of Ordinances, Community and Development Services Resolution 2023-04, and recommendation dated July 31st, 2023, approximately 14.38 acres of property located on Pyle Lane, as further described on Exhibit A attached hereto and incorporated herein, is hereby zoned R2 Single Family Residential District. Section 2, if any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance is held unconstitutional or otherwise invalid, such infirmity shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance. Section 3, all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 4, this ordinance shall take effect after its passage and publication according to law.
Right. I need a motion.
Motion.
Jane, Matthew. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Lumberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Keel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bell,
Yes.
Councilmember Handy,
Yes.
Councilmember Francis,
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley,
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh,
Yes.
Councilmember Crabtree,
Yes.
Councilmember Craig,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilcox,
Yes.
Councilmember Meek,
Yes.
and that passes unanimously on second reading.
All righty. Ordinance 31-2023, Pyle Lane zoning, second reading.
Amending the zoning maps of the city of Hopkinsville, Kentucky, approximately 13.22 acres located at 1101 Pyle Lane. Whereas Community and Development Services initiated a zoning map amendment by Resolution 2023-04 to assign the original zoning designation of R3, 1 and 2 family residential district to property located at 1101 Pyle Lane. And whereas Community and Development Services made favorable recommendation at their July 31st, 2023 meeting for City Council to approve the original zoning application R23-7-2. And whereas City Council concurs, said recommendation is in agreement with the Hopkinsville Christian County Comprehensive Plan, and significant physical, social, and economic changes have occurred warranting the zoning of the properties. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, pursuant to KRS 100.211, Hopkinsville Code of Ordinances, Community and Development Services Resolution 2023-04, and recommendation dated July 31st, 2023, approximately 13.22 acres of property located at 1101 Pyle Lane, as further described on Exhibit A attached hereto and incorporated herein, is hereby zoned R3, 1 and 2 family residential district. Section 2, if any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance is held unconstitutional or otherwise invalid, such infirmity shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance. Section 3, all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 4, this ordinance shall take effect after its passage and publication according to law.
All righty. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Got Travis and Terry. All righty. Any discussion on this? Seeing none, I'll call the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Lumberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Keel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bell,
Yes.
Councilmember Handy,
Yes.
Councilmember Francis,
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley,
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh,
Yes.
Councilmember Crabtree,
Yes.
Councilmember Craig,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilcox,
Yes.
Councilmember Meek.
Yes.
And that passes unanimously on second reading.
All righty. Ordinance 32-2023, B3 Density Zone Text Amendment.
An ordinance amending Chapter 158.066 of the Hopkinsville Code of Ordinances pertaining to the B3 Central Business District. Whereas on June 26, 2023, Community and Development Services initiated a zoning text amendment by Resolution 2023-05 to amend Chapter 158.066 to increase the permitted density in the B3 Central Business District to the R5 standard. And whereas Community and Development Services made a favorable recommendation at their July 31st, 2023 meeting, and whereas on August 15th, 2023, Community and Development Services made a formal recommendation for City Council to adopt the proposed amendment, and whereas City Council concurs, said recommendation is in agreement with the Hopkinsville Christian County Comprehensive Plan. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, Section 158.066 of the Hopkinsville Code of Ordinances is hereby amended as follows. 158.066B3 Central Business District. A, Statement of Purpose. The district with complementary office and related uses forms a center for commercial, financial, professional, governmental, and cultural activities. These regulations are intended to protect and upgrade the Central Business District for the performance of its primary functions. Pedestrian-oriented uses are encouraged. B, Permitted uses. See Appendix A, Schedule of Uses. C, Conditional uses. See Appendix A, Schedule of Uses. D, Standards. 1, Building site area. There is no minimum required building site area. 2, Building site width. There is no minimum required building site width. 3, building site coverage. There is no limit. 4, building height limit. No structure shall exceed 70 feet. 5, setback requirements. The minimum requirements for yards shall be as follows. A, front yard, no front yard requirement. B, rear yard, 25 feet for the back of the building adjoining a residential zone. Otherwise, no rear yard is required. And A, C, side yard, 5 feet for a side abutting a residential district where it is existing, otherwise no side yard is required. E, general requirements. 1, all new buildings and structures shall comply with off-street parking, loading, and unloading provisions as required in 158.160 through 158.163. In cases where no structural enlargement occurs, a change of use for an existing structure, building, in a B3 district shall not require compliance with 158.160, provided that existing parking is not reduced. However, all structures, both new and existing, are subject to the requirements of 158.161 through 158.163. 2, new residential dwellings which are permitted in the B3 Central Business District shall conform to the building site area and density standards of the R5 district. Where dwelling units are provided exclusively on second or upper stories, the building site area and density shall conform to the R5 district standards for multifamily dwellings, irrespective of the number of dwelling units provided. Section 2, if any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance is held unconstitutional or otherwise invalid, such infirmity shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance. Section 3, any and all ordinances inconsistent with this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 4, this ordinance shall take effect after its passage and publication according to law.
Your motion.
Motion to approve.
Don and Bruce. All right, any discussion? Seeing none, I call the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Lumberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Keel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bell,
Yes.
Councilmember Handy,
Yes.
Councilmember Francis,
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley,
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh,
Yes.
Councilmember Crabtree,
Yes.
Councilmember Craig,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilcox,
Yes.
Councilmember Meek,
Yes.
and that passes unanimously on second reading.
All righty, ordinance 34-2023, 23-24 operational budget amendment, second reading.
Amending the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky annual budget for fiscal year July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds for the operation of city government. Summary, now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, by summary, Section 1 of Ordinance 15-2023 adopting the annual budget for fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending June 30th, 2024 is amended as follows. Revenue, General Fund, $47,330,696. Municipal Road Aid Fund, $683,722. Prior year, $710,159. Total revenues, $48,724,577. Expenses, General Fund, $48,034,883. Municipal Road Aid Fund, $683,722. Total expenses, $48,718,605. Surplus, $5,972. The full text of this ordinance is on file in the office of the undersigned city clerk of the City of Hopkinsville at 715 South Virginia Street, Hopkinsville, Kentucky, where it is available for public inspection between the hours of 8:00 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday.
Need a motion?
So moved.
Amy and Terry, thank you. Any question on this?
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
When we raised the budget to the 48, 718, the prior budget was what? That we had estimated. What was it? It was 47 too? Is that what it was?
Melissa?
I was
Yep.
just asking what was the budget we are amending on?
It was 48,121,991, and now it's 48,718,605.
It's the one crossed out on your screen.
It's the one
One
crossed
crossed
out.
out
Yeah,
there on the
yeah.
total there. at the bottom.
Okay, so that was the prior budget that we had
Yes.
estimated. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Any other questions? All right, seeing none, call the roll.
Councilmember Lumberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Keel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bell,
Yes.
Councilmember Handy,
Yes.
Councilmember Francis,
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley,
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh,
Yes.
Councilmember Crabtree,
Yes.
Councilmember Craig,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilcox,
Yes.
Councilmember Meek.
Yes.
That passes unanimously on second reading.
All right, thank you. Ordinance 35-2023, 23-24 capital budget amendment, second reading.
Amending the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky annual capital equipment and property replacement budget for fiscal year July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2024 by estimating revenues and resources and appropriating funds. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky as follows. Section 1, that Section 1 of Ordinance 16-2023 adopting the fiscal year 2023-2024 capital equipment and property replacement budget is amended as follows. Transfer from general fund, $1,790,099. Transfer from general fund wins additional insurance premium, $132,685. Transfer from general fund police department, $173,909. Prior year capital equipment reserve, $104,713. Total capital revenues, $2,201,406. Expenses, administration, $70,000. Information technology, $70,000. Police, $503,622. Fire, $320,000. City maintenance, $470,000. Parks and Recreation, $140,000. Sportsplex, $75,000. Buildings and properties, $550,000. Total capital expenses, $2,198,622. Surplus deficit, $2,784. Section 2, if any section, subsection, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance is for any reason held unconstitutional or otherwise invalid, such infirmity shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions of this ordinance. Section 3, any and all existing ordinances inconsistent with this ordinance are hereby repealed. Section 4, this ordinance shall take effect after its passage and publication according to law.
All righty. We need a motion.
Motion.
Amy, second by Terry. All righty. Any questions on this? Seeing none, I'll call the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Lineberger,
Yes.
Councilmember Keel,
Yes.
Councilmember Bell,
Yes.
Councilmember Handy,
Yes.
Councilmember Francis,
Aye.
Councilmember Smiley,
Yes.
Councilmember Marsh,
Yes.
Councilmember Crabtree,
Yes.
Councilmember Craig,
Yes.
Councilmember Martin,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilcox,
Yes.
Councilmember Meek,
Yes.
and that passes unanimously on second reading.
All right. We'll move into item 11, municipal order 38-2023, electrical inspector contract. Ms. Brittany?
Municipal Order 32-2023 is hereby amended as follows. Pursuant to KRS 198B.06011, Hopkinsville City Council hereby authorizes the mayor to execute the attached contract with the following electrical inspectors who have been authorized to perform electrical inspections pursuant to KRS 227.489 and Chapter 15011A1 of the Hopkinsville Code of Ordinances. Roger Gwynn, Donald Henry, Lewis Hopper, John T. Jenkins, Terrell Snodgrass, Damian Young. Further, Hopkinsville City Council designates the attached contract as the form to be used for future electrical inspector appointments made by City Council pursuant to Chapter 150.11A1 of the Hopkinsville Code of Ordinances.
All right. We need a motion.
So moved. Second.
Got it. Amy and Terry? All right. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty, moving right along. Municipal Order 39-2023, Economic Development Fund expenditures.
Hopkinsville City Council hereby designates and authorizes up to $107,440 of economic development funds be used for the construction of the rail spur in Commerce Park 2.
All righty.
So moved. Second.
Yeah, that's okay. All right, I got Amy and Miss Jamie. All right, lighten the mood right quick here. You're good. All righty. Any discussion on this? All right, no discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All righty, moving right along. Municipal Order 40-2023, Downtown Development Incentive Policy.
Hopkinsville City Council hereby amends Municipal Order 28-2018 Downtown Development Incentive Policy as attached.
Right. Okay. Need a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. Second.
Second.
Don and Bruce, all righty. Any discussion on this? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Municipal Order 41-2023, Economic Development Incentive Amendment.
A municipal order directing payment of new occupational tax revenue and ad valorem tax revenue resulting from economic development incentives to be held in Economic Development Fund. Whereas the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky has established an Economic Development Fund, and whereas the city has approved certain economic development incentive grants to businesses located in Hopkinsville with said incentives, including upfront cash grants. And whereas the city will generate new tax revenue from new occupational taxes and ad valorem taxes as a result of said incentives. And whereas the city wishes to retain said new tax revenue in the Economic Development Fund to be used for future economic development incentives. And whereas the city wishes to amend Municipal Order 08-2022 as follows. Now therefore be it ordered as follows. Hopkinsville City Council hereby orders that all new occupational tax revenue and all new ad valorem tax revenue received by the city which result from economic incentives that include an upfront cash payment in excess of $50,000 be placed in the Economic Development Fund previously established. At such time, that total new tax revenue received for any incentive grant equals the amount paid by the city as an upfront cash grant, then said tax revenue shall thereafter be placed in the general fund. The Economic Development Fund may be used for future economic development incentives subject to City Council approval. In addition, City Council may at any time transfer all or any part of said fund to the general fund to be used for any other purpose. Hopkinsville City Council further orders that this municipal order does not apply to any economic development incentive grant that requires the city to incur bonded debt. In any economic development incentive grant that requires bonded debt, all tax revenue resulting therefrom shall be placed in the general fund in order to satisfy the debt obligation. Hopkinsville City Council further orders that this municipal order shall apply to the economic development grant incentive grants previously approved for Martin Rios, Stanley, Easy Access, and Rural King, and any new tax revenue resulting therefrom shall be transferred to the Economic Development Fund pursuant to this municipal order.
All right. Get a motion? Terry,
Second.
second by Amy. All righty, any discussion?
Just want to thank Martin Rios, Stanley, Easy Access, and all those things for actually coming to Hopkinsville and serving our citizens. Maybe Rural King could do the same someday.
It's coming.
It's getting there.
Yes. All righty. Any more discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Municipal Order 42-2023, State and Local Cybersecurity Grant.
Whereas the City of Hopkinsville, Kentucky desires to make an application for the United States Department of Homeland Security and/or Commonwealth of Kentucky funds for a project to be administered by the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security. And whereas it is recognized that an application for an approval of Kentucky Office of Homeland Security funds impose certain obligations and responsibilities upon the city. And whereas the City of Hopkinsville intends to apply for $294,581,085 in said grant funding. And whereas the said grant requires 20% matching funds. And whereas these funds are intended for use towards the purchase and installation of network switches to enhance cybersecurity. Now therefore be it ordered, Hopkinsville City Council authorizes 20% matching funds up to $58,916.37 and further authorizes the mayor to make application for and upon approval to enter into agreement with the Kentucky Office of Homeland Security, KOHS, to execute any documents which are deemed necessary by KOHS to facilitate and administer the project and to act as the authorized correspondent for this project. This also establishes the procurement policy for any KOHS-approved project for the fiscal year 2023 application cycle. For the purpose of any KOHS-funded projects using fiscal year 2023 funds, the city will use the provisions of KRS 45A for the purchase of equipment and/or services. For any equipment and/or services under $30,000, 3 quotes will be obtained. For any equipment and/or services that exceeds $30,000, the provisions of KRS 45A will apply.
So moved. Second.
I have Chuck and Amy. All righty. Any discussion?
I'd like to say something, Mayor. Darrell called me before the meeting, and he said, just explain what we're looking to do. Basically, the computers here are connected together through switches. These devices that we currently have are approximately 16 years old. So there's a lot of security features that are out there now, and they're starting to die off one at a time. So that's the purpose of, requesting funding from this particular source. And it's a name brand. They use Cisco, which is what the city uses. That's one of the vendors that they can go with, which is an industry standard type piece of equipment. So I think it's a good idea. So.
Any more discussion?
And anyone that ever bought a 5 megabyte hard drive can feel that pain. So
There you go. All right. All right. Any more discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. Item 12, Executive Order 51-2023, Hopkinsville Christian County Convention and Visitor Bureau.
Effective immediately, Dawn Pemberton shall be appointed as the Christian County Chamber of Commerce representative to the Hopkinsville Christian County Convention and Visitors Bureau to fill the unexpired term of Christy Murtha. And there's no action necessary.
All righty. We move to item 13, council's comments. Mr. Chuck.
So like a lot of us, or several of us here tonight, I received an email from a citizen concerned about Pyle Lane. Too much traffic at, the Cox Mill Inn, traffic at the, Canton major lane inn, Millbrook at certain times of the day.
Yes.
And I know I've talked to a number of different people in here. I've talked to some of our state representatives. I've talked to others. It's not going to get any better because of the construction and development that's going on Cox Mill and going on in that general area.
Correct.
And I know it's going to take a lot of people. So my thought is, hey, let's bring it up. And I'm not sure the best way to address it, but maybe even put somebody from the city in charge of coordinating that and seeing what we can do, because we can't do it by ourselves.
Right. Mr. Dave Hernan, we had that discussion this morning on the front porch out here. We were working with Ms. Deetra with Kentucky Transportation. We talked about this in our last meeting, 2 weeks ago, about Pyle Lane, where it's going to take a lot of convincing to make it move forward. We do know it needs to move forward. We're going to ask the people in that neighborhood to start calling our representatives at the state. Me and Dave and Mike have had these discussions already on Pyle Lane, especially about doing a roundabout or a stoplight on the major lane side of it down there, somehow to slow them down. And the Coxmill Road is getting even worse, especially with the hill as it comes over
Needs to
right
be
there coming
flattened
from
straight.
Hopkinsville, going towards the bypass. We're going to have to level that and drop that down too for people zooming over that. But Dave and us at Public Works are already looking into it, seeing how we're going to push forward. And we figure we would be getting with the councilman in this area so we can start pushing this a little harder.
So I've always thought it was good to take an initiative, assign it to somebody. You've done that. What date is Dave going to come back and say, here's what I've been able to do? And you may not be able to do anything, because I know it's others involved other than just city personnel.
Well, we're dealing with state roads with that, and that's where it's going to make it harder for us. But Dave is working on that with them and pushing, because he does know. We had a good conversation there at the pad office the other day when we was signing roads and how we done, and we moved some boost points over to that to move it up. But it's still looking probably about 1.5 years, 2 years out, somewhere right in there. Nobody wants to hear that, but that's where it's going to be right now, unless we start bending our state representatives' ears and tell them we need some help.
While we're talking about this one, if you can take this picture and put another name on and call it Lover's Lane, you're probably going to have a similar issue there.
That's already ahead of this issue.
I know.
Yeah.
It is already ahead of that. It's already, the state and them's already pushed Lover's Lane. That's in about 1.5 years, 2 years, Dave, something like that.
Yes, sir, they did. Preliminary alignment has already been done, and they're going into preliminary design.
Right.
I mean, and the bad thing, it's not just that road, it's all the connector roads around it in both situations that it's really impacting, and it's not going to get better until the infrastructure there gets better.
No, it's not going to get any better. Mike and him did a study, and Dave did the other day, how many crashes were held in that, on that. He doesn't have, I don't know if he has that with him tonight, but we discussed it, and how many accidents happened on Country Club, Cox Mill, all the way through the city, and which one, how they ranked. So we are looking at it and trying to move that forward for us.
Can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
On the same, I mean, this is our,
I mean,
obviously, I've had this discussion with Dave, I've had this discussion with Troy, but the only thing I wanted to say about this is that on your end, Mayor, Troy, Dave, if there's something else that you feel that we need to be doing, I mean, I feel like I've reached out to you, Chuck has reached out to you, because I'm telling you, I probably get a complaint, I would say 3-4 times a week on Pyle Lane, personally. And I always tell people it's a state road, we're working on it. And I feel like I'm not really doing anything, but quite honestly, I'm trying, but I don't know what to do. So if there's something else that you think that we can do to really help expedite the process, I know it's still going to be a couple of years out, but I really want to show the seriousness of these intersections, because really, it's like I said to Troy the other day, I'm afraid somebody's going to die there. And that's unfortunately what sometimes it takes for the state to get involved, is that somebody dies in that intersection. I don't want anybody to die. We want to try to be proactive and address these intersections before there is, a serious problem, because like Chuck said, it's not going to get any better.
No,
unless we do something. So anyways, my point is, if there's something that we can do as far as reaching out to those that live in the area and getting them to contact people, I mean, we'll do what we need to do, but I just am not quite sure what the best course of action is at this time. So just let us know.
We're pushing on it because we do know it is an issue. I have a lady calls me about once a week about it.
Sure.
And probably the same.
It might be the same person, but
Same
still.
young lady that's
still.
calling you, but she
Yeah.
has a legitimate complaint. But
Right.
it is a legitimate complaint with, you see the accidents and problems that we're having on both ends of Pyle Lane
Mayor.
Yes.
right now.
And Councilmember Terry Parker used to tell us to stop shielding state representatives
Right.
and share this heat. We might want to start sending those
I
calls
have.
their way.
I've given them phone numbers.
But yes, but that's what we're working on with that, because Dave and him have been on it. We, like I said, we had that conversation right outside this morning about that, on what we could do with Major Lane. Yes, sir.
Final question. When's Dave gonna come back and tell us what he found?
Well, once he gets an answer from the state and gets it, we can move.
2 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months?
There's no time.
November council of the whole?
We, no, we will, I will get back with you. Yes. We'll see you at the next committee of the whole day. All righty, any more council discussion, comments? Seeing none, we'll move into item 14, adjournment. We'll move to Mr. Terry Meeks again.
So as city council members, decision-making for us is paramount, and there is no better tool for decision-making than spiritual discernment. Without it, all we have is human intellect and reasoning. And human intellect and reasoning alone is like fishing from a pier. It's only good as far as it goes. Therefore, to get to the heart of the matter, we need spiritual discernment. So I just have 2 quotes I want y'all to reflect on. We should not fret for what is past, nor should we be anxious about the future. Men and women of discernment deal with only the present moment. And true discernment not only distinguishes the right from wrong, it means distinguishing the primary from the secondary, the essential from the indifferent, and the permanent from the transient. And yes, it means distinguishing the good and the better, and even between the better from the best. That's all we have.
Right. I will ask for an adjournment.
Motion. Second.
Motion and second, Travis. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you.